So we're underway with our men's 5k A race. Paul Whittaker of Southend, Matt Gumby of Woodford, Matt James of Bedford, Steve Sharp of Belgrave, Ashley Harrell of Norwich, Martin Mashford of Aldershot, Peter Egan of Norway, Neil Gamister of Shaftesbury Barnet, Chris Discombe of Les Croupiers, Phil Wicks of Belgrave, Matt Dummigan of Swansea, Nielsen Hall of Bedford, Kevin Skinner of Newham, Mark Draper of Bedford, Tom Marshall of Cardiff, Philip Wiley of Bristol, Stefan Massaro of Denmark, Sean Collins of Enfield, Nat Lane of Cardiff, Stuart Huntington of Norwich, Jonathan Hopkins of Bridgend, and Eric Wilding of Sweden. So that completes our lineup. Now we've got 2 pacemakers in this race. 65s is the target time. They've gone through in on schedule there, 65 seconds, and that will take us through towards the Commonwealth Games qualifying time for England, which is 13:38. And it's Mark Draper, the Bedford and County athlete, 13:43 this season. So without disregarding the rest of the field, but it's Mark Draper we need to keep an eye on tonight. We need to give him his support, because he's going for the Commonwealth Games qualifying time. He's just 5 seconds off it. But it's not to say that the chasing pack won't close, and it's Phil Wicks in 2nd place, with Nielsen Hall in 3rd. And then Martin Mashford in 4th. So those athletes certainly capable of sticking with the leading pack there as they go through 800 metres in 2:12. Alex Haynes and Mitch Kiley doing the pacing. So as they approach the first 1,000 metres, Mark Draper goes through in around about 2:45, 2:46. Well, down the back straight, and certainly Phil Wicks has closed that gap slightly on the pacemakers and Draper. As they approach 1,200 metres, so they go through there in just under 3:20, which is certainly on schedule for about 13:40, maybe just below. So Mark Draper comes through, about 20 metres or so on Wicks, with Nielsen Hall still behind him, then a slight gap to Mashford. Steve Sharp of Belgrave is in there as well, 14:11 this season. So just about 1 mile gone. (4:25). So on schedule for that sub 13:40, and if anything the gap all of a sudden has increased between Draper and Wicks. So Draper goes through Then it's Wicks and Hall. Then Mashford. Then there's Steve Sharp. Eric Wilding, the Swedish athlete. Also in there it's Matt Gumby of Woodford Green. So we've got Mark Draper, some 30 to 40 metres clear now. Then Wicks and Hall, then a group of 5 athletes led by Mashford, then the rest of the field. So give Draper and the pacemaker some encouragement as they come through each time. He's after Commonwealth Games qualifying time. 13:38 is the target. So it's Draper comes through once again. Looking comfortable. And now Hall takes it on from Phil Wicks. Still Mashford at the front of that leading group, that third group rather. Steve Sharp in there as well. And Gamster in there as well. Neil Gamster, Shaftesbury Barnet. So 6 laps gone, 6:38, so we'll get a good idea as they come up to the halfway marker of where we're up to. Well, they're on, we think, around about 13:45-ish pace, but it's not to say they can't pick it up in the second half of the race. They're into the second half of the race now. Still Draper. Yeah, Draper's certainly looking good. He's sticking to the pacemaker. He looks comfortable. Looks as if he could speed up in the latter stages, and he's certainly pulling away from the chasing 2, Hall and Wicks. Now gone into 4th place. It is Neil Gamester, Shaftesbury Barnet athlete. He's trying to close the gap on Hall and Wicks. But if we look at the back straight, Draper's now got a lead of some, well, must be 80 metres or more. As they go through at 7:44. So if you can stay in the territory of the 13:40s, the low 13:40s, then I'm sure with your help you can pick up the pace in the last couple of laps or so. So these next 2 or 3 laps are crucial to Draper. So he comes through. So Draper takes it on. He's on his own now, so this is where he needs your encouragement. Give him some applause as he goes through, as he goes past you. His lead on the rest of the field is must be 100 metres now. Yep, just about 100 metres, so he's totally on his own. Giving it a real good go tonight. Such a shame he is on his own though. But still pushing on. And he goes through in 8:50. 8 laps gone. Which is still within the 13:40s range, still low 13:40s. He's done 43 this season. So he knows what sort of shape he's in. He knows whether he can pick it up or not. And we're hoping he can. Neil Gamester's closing all the time on Phil Wicks and Hall. But in the meantime, Mark Draper. A mile to go, 4 laps to go for Mark Draper. Bedford and County athlete. 13:44 last season, 43 this season. Phil Wicks now in 2nd place again. Then Hall, then Gamester. Then a gap to a group of 8 to 9 athletes. They're led by Kevin Skinner. With Tom Marshall just behind him. In the meantime, Mark Draper goes through in about 10 minutes. So just slacked slightly in that last lap. But he's on the way home now. He'll have 3 laps to go as he comes into the home straight. Well, if anything, the athletes in second and third have picked the pace up. So here's Draper. 3 laps to go. Been a great attempt by Mark Draper. And it's Nielsen Hall now in second place, trying to pull away from Phil Wicks. 3 laps to go for them because they've pulled away from Gamester, who had come right up on the shoulders. Tom Marshall, the under-23 from Cardiff. 14.27 his best. He's at the front of that chasing group. 1,000 metres to go for Mark Draper. Well, the battle is on for second place now between Hall and Wicks. Gamester in no man's land at the moment in 4th. He'll be conscious of the chasing pack. So Mark Draper. Mark Draper comes through with 800 metres to go. Still a considerable lead of 70 or 80 metres over second and third. Still Hall. So is Wicks saving himself or is he hanging on? We'll find out in the next 800 metres. Hall tries, it looks as if he's digging, it looks as if he's pushing on. Gamester has had a go, but struggling now, and the chasing pack are closing on him all the time. In the meantime, down the back straight, 600 to go, Mark Draper. Been a brave attempt by Draper, but really was asking a lot to do it on his own over 5 or 6 laps. Well, Ryan Hall kicking, Wicks hanging on, but the gap has increased ever so slightly. But here's Mark Draper. 400 metres to go, he takes the bell. Stopped slightly earlier at the bell, just under 13 minutes at the bell. And it's Hall, kicks again with 400 to go, pulling away from Wicks. Then it's Tom Marshall. Just behind him it's Matt James, the Bedford athlete. Second Bedford athlete in this race. Meantime, Draper's got less than 200 to go. Well, look at it in second place. Look at Hall there in second place, having a fantastic run. Looks as if he's in the 1500, Nielsen Hall. And in fact, he's the second Bedford athlete in the race, first and second. But it's Paul Draper to take the 5,000 metres men's A race. Mark Draper. So Draper comes through. 14.05. And look at that, it wasn't that far ahead of Hall. Great running from Hall there. Here comes Wicks, then it's Marshall. Steve Sharp comes through. Just ahead of Ashley Harrell. With Matt James just behind him.